And welcome to Madden Film Room, guys. I'm Mr. Rogers. This is the intro video for the D.A.S.B system. So this is going to be a whole series. It's going to be a couple series. In this video, I'm going to kind of go over what is a D.A.S.B system, why it was made, kind of give you the ideas of how you're going to use it. And then we're going to get more in depth in the following videos. We're going to break down each coverage. This is not going to be some 10-minute videos where we fly through each coverage saying, look at this, look at that. And it's going to be so much more detail. It's too important of a system to just throw together in 10 minutes. So, let's go. Now, what is the D.A.S.B system? It is used to help you analyze defenses. Alright? And a lot of times, being able to tell what the coverage is, it's going to help you determine what's the best read. Maybe you need to change your read progression. Maybe you need to do some hot routes to take advantage, because each coverage, they're going to have different weaknesses. They're going to have different vulnerabilities. It's going to instruct you just play by play how to go about attacking them, how to exploit the weakness. So, and how it works is once you start using enough, it's going to come down to pattern recognition. Okay? Now, an interesting thing, I'm not going to touch pre-snap that much. We'll go over it, and you're going to learn some things that you've been seeing in other people's videos. My big thing, post-snap reads. That's going to be what this series is going to be about. Reading the defenders after the snap. That's huge. That's the main thing. We're going to be focusing on player movement, techniques, animations, what those movements are actually called. And now on to the D.A.S.B framework. A little picture from the 49ers 1982 playbook I threw in there. Route adjustments. Not going to go over that, but yeah, future videos, yes. So, what does D.A.S.B stand for? Depth, alignment, shell, and box. And this goes for all offensive players across the board. It's not going to be just the corners, though corners will be the first thing we check out. Depth. Gauge the corners. This is the very first thing you need to look at when you leave the play call screen. Hold left trigger, right trigger, whichever one, I don't care. You want the play out or not. And you have to assess the depth of those corners immediately. Okay? Especially one of the first adjustments people like to make, press the corners. Okay? Don't worry about baseline. We'll be covering that too. Baseline's going to rely mostly on post-snap reads. But depth. You need to look at that first. They're going to be at 1.5 yards, 5 yards, or 8 yards. They're going to be at, the corner's going to be at one of those three. Now, quarterbacks in high school, college, NFL, they're taught look at the safeties first. This is Madden. We got to flip that. We have to look at the corners first. Now, understand, cornerback depth can be a little misleading, especially if you don't look at that corner fast enough. Like, it literally needs to be the absolute first thing you do is holding that trigger and staring at a corner and figure out what's the depth, and then you can move on to your other reads. So left trigger immediately. You got to ingrain that in your head as being the absolute first thing you start doing from now on. What's the depth of the corner now? What is it now? And alignment. Still part of gauge the corners. You're gonna make this read at the same time you're reading the depth. Okay. And it's very important. Pretty big giveaway. Outside leverage, usually it's gonna indicate zone. Inside or head up leverage or alignment, typically gonna indicate man. Pretty simple. Depth and alignment. Gauge the corner. We went over these. But the main thing is they're interconnected. Okay? Which means you're going to be making these reads at the exact same times. I think the main thing on this slide I want to quickly go over this series. We're going to be going over how the depth and alignment changes based off the wide receiver splits. Wide splits, wide receiver, number one receiver outside the numbers. We'll have the defenders be at different depth and alignments compared to reduced splits when they are inside the hashes or inside the numbers. The thing I like to do, confirmation motions. I like to just motion just to see how they react. All right, back in Madden 23, I had created a little chart for gauging the corners. And also, it's not just the corners. This also applies to slot defenders also. Nickel corners, dime corners, whatever. Even if the linebackers have to go out wide and overhang and cover down on a receiver out there. And the charts are over on my wiki, Mr. Rogers Madden Film Room. I'll have a link to that down in the comments. So if we go to depth and alignment, we can see we have 2x2 middle field open, 2x2 middle field closed. Do you plan on expanding this, doing for 3x1 sets, 4x1s, 3x2s, just pretty much everything. Fair warning, these charts were made back in Madden 23. I found them to still be pretty accurate to Madden 24. Also, it was my first endeavors in making any sort of chart. So artistically, not that great. I plan on redoing that all. So middle of the field open, 2x2. Outside is where the wording could be better. Number one receiver. Slot. Number two. This here, center, outside, inside. This is the leverage. Okay? My writing is horrible. This is the leverage, the depth. Okay? Now we talk about depth. I'm always referring to the heel of their feet, where they line up at. Typically it's going to be 5, 8, or 1.5 yards. Okay? So we can see in Madden, zone tends to be head up, center of line, over to wide receiver. And here we'll take a quick look at 2x2, middle field closed. So 2x2, middle field closed, same thing. Number one, number two, outside center, inside. Now we don't have as much on here, pretty much 8 yards, 1.5 yards. Now I was doing nickel over for this when I graphed this out, and I compared it to other formations. It's pretty accurate. Something I would probably definitely end up adding is cover 2 invert. It shows itself as single high pre-snap, and then it changed post-snap with the rotation. I don't have that in here, but I'm going to redo all these charts later. Shell, find the safeties. Is it open? Is it closed? We got one deep safety for a closed center field, or do we got 2 deep safeties for an open center field? This is also going to aid you in figuring out the contour of the coverage shell. Shell, find the safety. This is where I told you how we're finding the safeties with gauging the corners compared to how quarterbacks are taught high school, college, NFL. They're doing this first. They're finding the safeties. But in Madden, we're doing the opposite. So for finding the safeties, once you find the safeties, you can draw kind of contour lines from the corners to the safety, to the next safety, and to the corner. And you can get these general shapes that you can use to help you identify certain coverages very quickly. Back to the wiki. Go to Shell and Box. We can take a look at some of these. Some of these are fairly obvious. So, for example, over Storm Brave, but the shell is going to be pretty much the same. We'll go over each one. For example, cover 0. Any cover 0, default alignment. The absolute biggest giveaway, like instantly, is the safety's heels at 10 yards depth. They're typically at 13.5. Okay, they're typically 13.5, 14 yards of depth. and the corner is going to be 8 yards depth. Biggest giveaway. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this right now. I would say each formation we come across, we'll go across that. And I call this the flatliner because it's close to being a flat line. And it's pretty critical you pick up a blitz or you're going to be flatlined. Let's see. One more. Cover 6 is seesaw. This is one where I draw an additional line from one corner to the other corner. One's at 5 yards and one's at 8 yards. It's cover 6 and cover 3 cloud just kind of pop out to me instantly right away when I see them. I'll go very in depth for all of these for each video that comes up. All right, box. Gotta speed this video up. About 10 minutes in and just about halfway through the slideshow. So, box count. After you get done trying to figure out what covers you're going up against, you make a box count. Typically, you do a weak box count, strong box count. Some people are just going to count the whole box, however you want to do it. I don't care. I tend to read weak and the strong side of the box to determine, maybe I want to audible to a run. I'm running RPOs. I'm going to do a perimeter count on top of the weak and strong box count. If we got numbers on the outside, we're going to take it. We got numbers on the inside, we're going to take it there. Box front structures. Okay, how many known rushers? Are they using 3 or 4 down lineman formations? It doesn't necessarily have to be down, 2-4 nickel, your 2 edge rushers or stand up, whatever. More on fronts. Are they running over, under, even, odd, bare front? Like what exactly are they running? So also where the bubble's located in over, under, and all those formations. Let's say they are running in a over front, and this information can be important even for the pass. Sorry, it kind of froze up there. Let's say I know that this is going to be a pretty open gap right here for the run, but let's also say I'm dropping back, right? And these are my rushers, right? They're coming through here. I know I have more of a open B gap, so as I step up in the pocket, I'm going to step up toward the left. I'm not going to step up toward the right, where we have someone in the B gap here. I'm going to step up where I have a chance where if I have to scramble, I can go up through there if I have to. Post-snap reads. See it, feel it, throw it. It's kind of my mantra going into it. I see how the defender's moving, kind of feel it. Combine that with pre-snap reads, and then just throw it based on that. Defensive back stance technique, that's more of a pre-snap read, but it does kind of carry over into post-snap reads. Okay, pretty big. Open, close technique. A lot of question marks. Those would be revealed within the first video. I mean, we're going to go over the techniques and the animations in each and every video for each coverage so that you can kind of feel way more confident about making reads after the snap, okay? And you're not going to be spending the whole 3 seconds making the read. You're going to make these reads within a quarter of a second, half a second, like not that much. You got to work these post-snap reads into your pass progressions, okay? You got to work them together, kind of side by side, okay? Combining it all together, QBI progression. Post-snap reads are the difference between a good quarterback and a great quarterback. So I've broken it down into, for the eye progressions, 3 things. Narrow vision. First snap vision, second snap vision. Okay, so for narrow vision, I'm typically going to be reading, and this is going to change throughout the game. You're not going to make the same key reads every single time. You're going to change it. You got to experiment with it, feel it out. Once you start to figure out your opponent, you're going to change it up. So I'm typically going to start with safety rotation read because I'm going to try to finalize what type of coverage they're running. Okay, it's going to help me figure out what they're running at the end of the day. Then I'm probably gonna go over defensive back techniques. What movement techniques are the backs using? It's gonna help me determine if it's zone or man that they're in. Matchup keys, one-on-one. My guy better than theirs. Red zone, I like to run stick 3x1 with the backside solo receiver on a slant route. And if he's better, I'm just gonna key off that. Combination keys, you can combine some keys together. You could have safety rotation as your narrow vision, and then you could go to a defensive back technique being your first snap vision. Hot reads for the blitz. Setting your pass protection correctly, dictating who the free rusher is so that you can pass based off if you see him come in. That's probably a whole video in itself right there. 1-2 high read, you have plays set up where if you see 2 high safety, you go to progression on one side of the passing concept, 1 high safety, you go to the other side of the passing concept for progression over there. Leverage read based off the defender. A lot of times playing the defensive back techniques. Covers count. Say you're in a 1x3 trips. Trip side, they only got 2 defensive backs covering over. Number 2 guy is open. No one's covering over him. So you kind of make an adjustment off of that. Progression reads. Progressions are going to go off 1, 2, 3. Okay. Primary, alternate, outlet. This is West Coast talk right here. You got pure progression, which is 1, 2, 3 progression. Pure progression with an alert. Okay. When, say, you detect, let's just go with Tampa 2. You determine it's Tampa 2. So you decide you're going to send your number 1 on a go route, fade, whatever you're used to calling it. Put a 1 there. And you're going to put the number 2 on a flat route. Now you're going to create a high-low situation between your go and your shoot to take advantage of that corner that's out there. Let's see. Pick a side. That pretty much was the 1-2 high read I was talking about. So it's a lot of information. A lot of stuff's going to be some of its own videos. So let's get ready. Once those videos start dropping here soon, start watching them. Watch them for the detailed explanations, the examples of each coverage, all the post-snap reads. Remember, we're going to be focusing on those post-snap reads more than anything. Okay? You're going to gain confidence when you start to learn how to identify to read the coverage types using the D.A.S.B system. Okay? I'm going to walk you through understanding the differences between certain zones. We'll take, for example, Tampa 2. What the corner looks like when he's in a hard flat, soft squat, or a cloud flat. How those animations look different. How you can recognize those, exploit those differences to help improve your offensive success. What to expect, goals for the D.A.S.B system. It can be 2 series. Mastering post-snap reads with D.A.S.B system, and how to use D.A.S.B system to analyze and exploit defensive coverages, which is how to attack. For each series, I'm going to do a video for each coverage. I might end up combining some in the end. You'll notice we got Mabel down there. I'm going to go over, that's one of the popular defenses. Going to go over that. Dollar, show 2 plays. A lot of plays in there that look like Tampa 2, cover 2, pre-snap. I'll probably throw in some pass protection, some hot reads, just whatever I fancy doing. And thank you for checking out the video. I hope you guys really enjoy this series here. It's kind of how I think about it when I'm playing. Don't forget, check out the wiki down below in the comments section. Subscribe, like, notify. If you find the upcoming videos to be interesting, spread the word.